Hollywood is built on keeping secrets, but some stories break out before the world is ready. What happens when a star comes out too young, before agents can spin, before PR teams can coach, before the system knows how to hide them? In this countdown, we uncover 10 fearless young men who spoke their truth at an age when silence was expected and paid the price. Fame, contracts, and fan love all seemed guaranteed until the moment they dared to say, "I'm gay." Suddenly, the cameras turned away, the roles vanished, and their names became whispers. Why does Hollywood still punish honesty, especially when it's young and raw? Which secret broke your heart? Tonight, we're peeling back the curtain on the stories studios wanted to erase. Watch until the end, because some of these untold truths might just change the way you see your favorite stars forever. Drop a comment where you're watching from, and get ready to question everything you thought you knew. 1. Troye Sivan. Long before stadium lights and Fashion Week front rows, Troye Sivan was a 15-year-old kid staring down a secret. He told his family first, then, still a teenager, turned on a webcam and told the world. No handlers, no studio script, just a shaky YouTube upload and a promise to himself no one would steal his story. Growing up, Troye didn't see boys like him kiss on TV unless it ended in a lesson or a tragedy. So he did what Gen Z prophets do. He built the mirror he needed. Those early videos weren't marketing. They were lifelines, tossed to strangers who felt like him and didn't have the words yet. When the record deal came, he kept the same vow. The music would be queer. The visuals would be honest. The pronouns would stay put. Then the pop era hit. My, Bloom, Neon Desire, and Breathless Freedom. Songs that turned dance floors into confessionals and placed a gay narrative at the center, not as subtext. Hollywood loves a safe success story. Troye made one that was tender and unapologetically gay. He crossed into films, collaborated with fashion houses, and kept threading queer joy into every frame. That's the legacy, not just visibility, but sophistication. Proof that young LGBTQ+ artists don't have to shrink to fit. Did Troye's honesty help you breathe easier, dance harder, or both? Drop a 1 if his journey reminds you that loving yourself out loud is the most radical pop act there is. 2. Tom Daley. Picture it. A teenage champion balancing on 10 meters of air with the world watching, then stepping off the platform and into a truth even scarier than gravity. Tom Daley didn't hand his life to tabloids. He spoke directly to camera, in his own words, as a 19-year-old, and said who he loved. Some in his circle weren't thrilled. Sponsors muttered, advisors fretted. But Tom had already calculated the risk. He'd carry his medals and his identity in the same hand. That video wasn't just an announcement, it was a thesis. Elite sport can hold pride without apology. And then he kept winning. Training, competing, raising a family, knitting courage into quiet domestic moments that felt revolutionary precisely because he made them ordinary. He wrote and spoke to younger versions of himself, the scared kid at practice, the fan in the cheap seats, telling them the world gets bigger when you stop making yourself small. Daley didn't ask for permission from federations or fans. He modeled a future where no athlete must choose between excellence and authenticity. He became the advocate he needed, calling out homophobia in stadiums, pushing for safer structures in sport, using his platform like a megaphone and a shield. When the cameras zoomed in for the medal shot, they caught something you can't polish in post. Relief turned into pride. Did Tom's video change how you see sports or yourself? Comment Tom Daley, or a 2, to honor a champion who made honesty part of the routine. 3. Greyson Chance. He was 12, a piano, and a Lady Gaga cover that detonated the internet. Overnight, Greyson Chance became the nation's favorite prodigy. Talk shows, bright lights, the promise of a career drawn in permanent marker. But fame can be a maze with mirrors that lie. At school, classmates sharpened slurs into weapons. Online, strangers decided who he should be. Industry adults measured him against a mold he never picked. And when the machine wobbled, numbers softening, trends shifting, he was cut loose as if talent expires when childhood does. Imagine being 15, carrying a voice the world loved, and feeling disposable anyway. Years later, still young but no longer anyone's puppet, Greyson opened Instagram and told the truth. He's gay. No spectacle, just a line in the sand. The music changed after that. You can hear it in the bruised edges and clean horizons. A boy who survived the carousel and decided to build a studio with windows. He wrote about longing and leaving, about self-respect as a daily practice. Audiences who grew up with him heard the permission slip inside those choruses. You're allowed to rewrite yourself. Hollywood often mistakes youth for silence. Greyson chose volume, craft over clout, ownership over approval. He's proof that the comeback isn't always louder. Sometimes it's clearer. The viral moment made him famous. The honesty made him an artist. 4. Geick. Dylan Geick's arena was the high school wrestling mat, where toughness is king. But Dylan knew he had another fight, for authenticity, even as a teenager. At Stevenson High, Illinois, he decided the closet wasn't for him. After starting to date a boyfriend, he told Outsports, "I really didn't like having to sneak around." So he came out to friends at lunch and the news exploded. As an elite teen athlete, Dylan's skill demanded respect, and his teammates supported him so strongly that no homophobic taunts followed. He kept posting photos on Instagram, something he has done since last summer, and spoke up about being an out gay athlete on campus. By coming out in high school, Dylan defied the idea that you must hide to succeed. His honesty paved the way for acceptance. "I think I would never have been able to come out in high school if it weren't for the environment the coaches have built." Dylan now inspires other queer athletes to live openly. Comment his name to honor the way he fought stereotypes and made his world a little brighter. 5. Ben Platt. Tony-winning actor Ben Platt, star of Dear Evan Hansen and Theater Camp, has been living openly since his early teens. He recalls being about 12 or 13 when a girlfriend on stage gently quizzed him, "Who do you like?" And he realized he was ready to answer truthfully. "I'm gay," he told her. She ran to share the news with the rest of the cast, and from that day on, Ben's truth was out. He said he felt very gay, unfortunately, and also, fortunately, leaning into a journey of self-love. As a kid who grew up loving musical theater, he didn't wait for permission or a contract. He simply lived proudly. Today, Platt's fearless authenticity has made him a role model. He makes movies and songs about queer life and love, and he encourages LGBTQ+ youth to embrace themselves. His story shows that coming out doesn't derail a dream, it enriches it. Give awe if Ben's unapologetic honesty inspires you to live boldly. 6. Rippon figure skater. Rippon first captivated America with his dazzling Olympic performances, but he was making headlines off the ice too. In 2015, he became the first prominent US male figure skater to come out as gay. He told the Human Rights Campaign that once he came out in 2015, he started to own who I am as a person. Growing up gay in rural Pennsylvania had been lonely. He devoured other coming out stories to feel less alone. After he announced his truth, Rippon embraced the role of trailblazer, reminding us that visibility is power. He insists that by sharing his story openly, he normalizes LGBTQ+ life for kids who feel different. Despite facing old-school skating politics and media skepticism, Rippon's sparkle never dimmed. He's used humor and outspokenness to spotlight the value of authenticity. Being a gay athlete is exactly like being a straight athlete, except with better eyebrows, he joked. Adam's example proves that the bravest performances can be lived out loud. Comment his name to celebrate his Olympic-sized courage and inspire LGBTQ+ kids everywhere. 7. Jakob Greer. A new face on the scene, Jakob Greer quietly made waves. A rising actor known for Evil Eye 2025 and an upcoming Superman series, he grew up knowing he was gay, but Hollywood didn't have a place for a young queer actor off the bat. Jakob's journey hasn't been in the tabloids, but he represents every kid who's dreamed of fame and feared rejection for being themselves. He chose honesty from the start, carving out space with courage. Now he's finally in blockbuster projects, switching from indie hopes to mainstream lights, and he'll bring his whole proud self to every role. There's no press release about Jakob yet, but his bravery lives in the fans who see him shine. Drop it to honor Jakob's quiet triumph and remind the world he's here and proud. 8. Jake Zyrus. Jake Zyrus, formerly Charisse Pempenko, was a singing prodigy loved on TV. Even Oprah called young Charisse the most talented singer in the world. In 2013, she unexpectedly declared, "My soul is male," after already coming out as lesbian, and eventually transitioned to live as a man. This was seismic in the Philippines, a conservative culture where such revelations once shocked many. But Jake persisted, trading gowns for tees and sharing his truth on social media. Paper Magazine notes he created a social media firestorm when he announced himself as Jake Zyrus. Today, he's continuing his career as a transgender man in the spotlight, dedicated to shedding light on being a trans man in the public eye. Jake's story is one of deep personal truth overcoming societal limits. Even the world's spotlight couldn't force him back into the closet. Like to show Jake your support and help keep his journey alive and celebrated. 9. Josh Thomas. Australian comedian and writer Josh Thomas burst onto the scene as a stand-up prodigy at 17, eventually creating the groundbreaking TV show Please Like Me, which candidly depicted his own life. Josh didn't hide who he was on or off screen. He came out as gay while still a teenager, at about 19 years old. He jokes that before coming out, fangirls would gush at him. When I was 19, before I came out, there were lots of teenage girls who would meet me and start crying, underscoring how fans wrongly assumed he was straight. Instead of living a lie to please Hollywood, Josh's show embraced every awkward truth of modern queer life, from dating to family struggles. He has said he wouldn't exchange that authenticity. Even if I'd come to LA at 20 to make a show, I'd never have had a show. Please Like Me became a cult classic because Josh's voice was genuine. His fearless humor and honesty opened doors for LGBTQ+ storytelling in television. Comment if you've seen Please Like Me and felt a little less alone thanks to Josh's story. 10. Jake Borelli on Grey's Anatomy. Jake Borelli's character, Levi Schmidt, was the first major queer intern in the series' history, and in 2018, the actor followed suit in real life. Jake announced on Instagram at 27 that he was gay, writing, "As a gay guy myself, the character's story is exactly the kind of story I craved as a young gay kid growing up in Ohio." He used social media to make his own announcement, not a media pump piece. For years, he had played straight roles and kept his true self private. When Grey's finally showed us a gay intern, Jake chose it as his own coming out moment. His decision highlighted a Hollywood flaw. Being out still felt like a big risk. even in 2018. But by embracing authenticity alongside his character, Borelli proved visibility matters on screen and off. Subscribe and share to help Jake's story reach young fans who need to see themselves represented. Some stars fade gently, but others are pushed out for daring to live honestly and young. These 10 lives rewrote the script, shining a harsh light on an industry that still rewards mystery over truth. For every brave coming out, there's a hidden cost: lost roles, broken contracts, and dreams postponed. But here's the real secret. When you're true to yourself, you inspire a generation. Which story shook you the most? Whose journey made you feel less alone? Comment their name below to honor their courage. If you believe the next queer kid shouldn't have to choose between their truth and their dreams, hit subscribe. Because at Silent Fame, we keep telling the stories Hollywood tried to bury. Don't let these voices be erased again. Your view, your voice, your pride, that's the ending Hollywood never saw coming.